PCI Race Radios versus Magpul. Hi guys, I'm Nate from Good Mayhem Racing. Tonight I want to talk about gloves that you can use for off-road racing. These are racing gloves made by PCI Race Radios. These are Magpul Flight Glove 2.0s. Both of these gloves are $80 a set, maybe $65 if you're lucky. These have a leather bottom and a Nomex back, where these are just fire resistant. Nomex all the way around. Both of these are large, if I remember right. Yeah, large. And that one is also a large. Yeah, this is made in Pakistan, and these are made in Vietnam. Fire rated gloves are important just because you're exposed to open flame in bad situations. And both of these are made for different applications. These are specific to racing. These are military. Specifications like scores, competitions, regs actually don't require drivers and co-drivers to wear gloves while racing. Some other organizations do. And when they do, they have an SFI rating that they're looking for in these gloves. And it's actually sewn into the seam. You can see it right here. SFI Foundation. You can't really read much of the label, but you can see it's there, right? These are military gloves. They won't have that SFI cert at all. However, let's talk about the safety of these and the practicality of both. First off, you can see that the fitment of both of them is very good. Tight fitting, slightly looser, but they are pretty snug. The dexterity is more tactile in the Magpuls, and it's kind of deadened in the PCI Race Radios. I would think that it was material based, but I really think it's more from the stitching. If you look at the PCIs, you'll see it's 4 fabrics stitched into a single plane, or like on this finger here, it's 3. 1, 2, 3. With the Magpuls, it's also 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's that consistent through all of the fingers. Well, thumbs are a little different, but this one is just as odd. The PCI Race Radios has these little rubber grips. This is leather from end to end. These look cooler than these. But for the capacitive touch sense application, these are subject to this. These are the better gloves. The Magpul 2.0s are better gloves for touching phones, iPads, nav. These have a flat palm or a flat tip. These are flat tipped here, but you see how this thing is looped? That is actually super practical, because when we're swiping on our phones, we're using the edge of our thumbs, not the pad. We're not doing this most of the time with our devices. So I think that this is more ergonomic and more appropriate for devices. For my fingers, maybe my fingers are just crooked, I don't know. But if you look, you'll see that the PCI glove actually twists outward. So the flat tip of my finger is right here versus the actual tip of the pad is further outside. So when I tap something, it's almost like I'm hitting it halfway between the two edges of the glove, so then the touch doesn't work at all. That is not a problem here, and it really holds its position regardless of where my fingers are. These ones slide a little bit. From a driving standpoint, I think both of these gloves are very good. I think these are better. One application I would not use these for, that I certainly use these for, is welding. This is the before. This is a glove that is very used. This is a glove that's exceptionally used and very burned. TIG welding is one of the more mild methods of fusion welding that's out there. You have an arc, you're feeding in metal by hand, but you're not dealing with a lot of sparks and flying debris. But you do have plasma. The actual arc itself is radiating super hot gases, and those gases can still burn things. So when I weld, I more often than not will glance my middle finger while welding And you can actually see the burn debris here and here. And this entire tip is just ruined. So I put glass tape over it. And this is hardcore electrical tape. We just call it glass tape in the welding world. It does a really good job of insulating against welding arcs and also protects surfaces from getting burned. So I just use it to fix my gloves whenever I have a penetration through it. The plasma of the welding torch burned through the tip. So then I have this 3/8 of an inch opening underneath this, and that patched it up fine, and I was able to use this for several more months. You can see the before and after. These thumbs and forefingers are shrunk in comparison to this, but not by much. They still fit well. Finger to finger, you can see that the older gloves have shrunk about maybe 3/4 of an inch. The actual fingers themselves, though, are still pretty close, 1/4 of an inch. So, which glove do I use for welding? This for sure. That's not really a thing for these. Which one do I use for racing? These. Whenever I'm required to have an SFI rated glove, I do use the PCIs, but push comes to shove, the fire rating of military gloves is not necessarily comparable to what you get with SFI, but something is better than nothing. And for these to be so versatile and so comfortable and so effective at working with electronics, these are really, really hard to beat. PCI, you did a good job. Magpul, you did a great job. Get these if you have to. Get these if you can. I'm Nate from Good Mayhem Racing. I will see you out in the desert, if not my garage.